Good afternoon, people. It's Chris Angel coming at you for another episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. And today we're talking about the most important part of your business. The most important part of your business. Isn't that juicy? Wouldn't we all like to know what that is? Well, here's how I see it. Years ago, I read a book called Good to Great from Jim Collins. I also read a book by Jim Collins called Built to Last. I think it's in Good to Great that he gives this analogy, but it is so good. And this principle. So the principle is that you preserve the core and stimulate progress. So what Jim Collins does in his work, he does these 5-year studies, and then he takes the study and he turns it into this business book. And his books are amazing. How he writes is incredible. So it's completely worth a read. If you haven't read anything from Jim Collins, he is incredible. But here's what he noticed. So all of his stuff is a comparison because it's a study. So he had these companies, and what he noticed about the companies who moved from good to great in their performance and standing had this ability to preserve the core of who they were, while at the same time as new technologies came along, they could stimulate progress in their business and stay current with evolving technologies. The comparison companies in his studies didn't do that. They either stayed true to themselves and ignored technology, Blockbuster, right? Like they were like, nah, that's a fad, or no, that technology, we don't do that kind of stuff. This is who we are. And so they were so stubborn and locked into who they were that they didn't pay attention to evolving technology or trends. Or the flip side of that is people who would chase new technology all the time and have no clue about who they were at the core. And so you could see these people, like they'd be like, oh, here's something new, we got to go do that. Oh, here's something new, let's go do that. And they never had this sense of what they were really up to. So this caught my attention today for some reason. I have no idea why it popped in my head. But what I started to feel like was that your message in business, like the conversation you're leading in the world, is at the core, it is the most tangible expression of who you are at your core. Because when we start talking about the core, who you are at the core, we get into this very ethereal, essence-y, intangible conversation, right? So the conversation that you're here to lead, your message for the world, is the most tangible expression of your essence, of your purpose, of your core. So picture, if you don't know what your message is, then what happens is you could spend a lot of time chasing technology. Oh, Facebook ads are the new thing. Oh, I'm supposed to be on LinkedIn. That's the new thing. And you can chase a lot of technology, never staying true to or anchored in who you are. The flip side of it is also true, though, right? That you could be so attached to your core, I guess, that you don't see evolving trends. Like how do I use Facebook and social media and technology to get this message out? In fact, actually, that's interesting. There's a lot of you who know what you're here to do at the core. Like you are dialed in on your purpose, and when you work with people in this purpose, you feel on fire. Like you feel on purpose and on fire. But because you're so resistant to technology, right? You pull back, and you're going to get left behind, right? So what'll happen is I'll meet somebody who is very authentic, very true to themselves, and they feel like social media is a total sellout, or they feel like social media is this place where people go to be fake. Now, that's true, of course. There's a lot of people who post only the good stuff, right? And I think part of that is because nobody wants to post bad stuff about their life. That sucks. Nobody wants to do that. So of course, all the good stuff gets posted on social media, but then you make it mean that social media is fake. And in doing so, you're missing an opportunity to actually connect with people who are hungry for what it is you have to offer. They're hungry for your message and your authenticity. But because you're so grounded in your core of authenticity, the core of who you are and authenticity, that you miss an opportunity to share your message and your light. So The most important part of what you do, the most important part of your business is the message, because the message is the thing that stands the test of time. Okay. Now, here's the second thing that Jim Collins said in Good to Great, and I love this. So he said, like, there's really, you have to go read the book to unpack all of what he's talking about. But part of what he talks about is what he calls your hedgehog concept, which is, what can you be best in the world at? What are you passionate about? And what are the economics that drive it? Like, what can I do financially to make that work? Now, he says, like, once you get a sense of what the hedgehog concept is, and by the way, most business people never get to this type of clarity. They never get clear on, they might be clear on their passion, but they don't know how to bring that passion into their work. They also don't really ever get clear on what they could be best in the world at. They might have an inkling back here of what they're good at, but again, they don't know how to bring that into their business. And then the third part of, like, financial, like, what's the economic driver of this business? Most people don't know how to create offers and how to create value. And so they end up giving their services away at a fraction of what their service is worth, because they just don't know how to frame the offer in a way that makes people see the value. But once you do get this sense of this hedgehog concept, like who you are, what you could be best in the world at, he then describes it like a fog. It's like walking. You're like walking in a fog, and you can't see more than the next step in front of you. And this is this is where a lot of business people quit in business, because it feels so overwhelming. They feel so lost. They don't have a sense of who they are anymore, because it's so foggy that they'll quit, right? And they bump into things, and they take wrong turns, and they spend money on things they probably shouldn't have, and all of that. But the good news is that when you have the hedgehog concept, when you're clear about who you are, like, what are you passionate about, what can you be best in the world at, and what drives the economics of it, and you stay true to that, in the fog, then what happens is you keep going, and it starts to get less foggy. Your walk turns into a jog, your jog turns into a run, and pretty soon the fog has evaporated and you're in the clear, and off you go. But the only way you get to that clearing, which is what I think we're all, as business people, we're hungry for that clearing. Like, when does this ever get easy? When can I actually run at full speed? Because I've got all this energy and impact stored up inside of me, but I keep feeling like I'm in the fog. How do we get out of the fog? You have to get clear about your message. It's the message that is the core of who you are. And if you're intimately tied to your message, then no matter how foggy it is, you just keep iterating your message. You iterate your message, you iterate your message, you iterate your message. And what happens is the fog gets lighter, it evaporates, your walk turns into a jog, into a run, and boom, you hit it in the open. It is clear, and you're running at full speed. But that only happens if you understand who you are and what message is, what conversation you're here to lead in the world. When you have that, you've got the recipe to stick it out and run full speed. If you never find your message, then when it's foggy, you can't orient yourself in any direction. You have no true north. Your message, the conversation you're here to lead in the world, is your true north. That's what keeps you focused when you can't see straight, when you can't see in front of you. That is the secret. That is the most important part of your business, is your message, the conversation you're here to lead in the world. The rest of the stuff we can figure out. We can figure out social media. We can figure out how to post. We can figure out how to talk about it. We can figure out Facebook, all this stuff about marketing. But the true north, the thing that orients you in the fog, is your message. Got it? Okay. And by the way, this is why marketing for the rest of us, when the rest of the world is teaching you how to market using tools and tactics, hey, here's a Facebook ad. Hey, you should do this with your blog post. It's so focused on the tactics that it's missing the message. This is the whole thing about chasing technology. if you're not grounded in who you are, you can listen to all the podcasts in the world, read all the books in the world about marketing, and they're going to tell you all the different tactics to chase, and you'll go chase those, but not grounded in who you are, you don't know how to use them. You don't know what to say with them. So the most important thing you can do in your business is get clear about the message you want to have with the world. And if you'd like to learn how I teach that, there's a free course you can get. It's just over 90 minutes and 5 videos at groundswellmethod.com. Groundswell, that's one word, groundswellmethod.com. And it's a free course. You can sign up today and finish it within the next 90 minutes. Thanks for hanging out with me for this episode of Marketing for the Rest of Us. Until tomorrow, when we go live again, have a great night.